So one of the reasons we have, working alongside you guys and brought you into the business for our clients is exactly what you've just said. I feel like we've had many mortgage brokers try and get into our business over the years, like a lot, and that's just in my time at the business. But one thing I did find with a lot of mortgage brokers is if there wasn't a quick deal to be had, the client was forgotten. Yep. And that's not how we do business. And it's really hard in general, we know, to recommend people. You need to have a lot of trust in that person if you're referring business. We look at our investors as a really long-term relationship. Some of our clients have been with us for 20, 30 years. And now they're at a different stage in their life where they're going into retirement mode. So that's a whole different conversation where they want to sell up some properties and free up some cash. And then we've got people who are first-time investors who are looking at every single dollar that's coming in or not coming in from their tenants to cover their mortgage. So it's a really big spectrum of client.
Yeah, I was reflecting on this morning, Bec, because we started the business at the most difficult time to do so in terms of mortgage broking, because we're at the peak of the interest rate cycle. And out of those, thousands of landlord calls we made, you'd be surprised at that point in time. And I'll be honest, a number of investors don't have debt at all.
Yes.
Doesn't mean you can't help friends and family or their children, but a lot of them don't have debt. I would say 20 to 30%.
Yeah, which is a high number, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that, at least in Brisbane. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, look, our portfolio would be quite similar, I'd say. Yeah.
Don't forget, we had a lot of people on fixed rates. The fixed rate saga kicked off, locked in at 2% 3 to 4 years ago, during that COVID cycle when the cash rate was 0.1%. So you're not going to refinance those individuals. And finally, a lot of people were in mortgage prison. I know that when I started, I kept hearing about this mortgage prison and kind of thought what's mortgage prison? A load of rubbish. Mortgage prison is basically when you have debt.
Yeah.
But because the cash rate increased over 400 basis points in a 2-year period, people's borrowing capacity went backwards around 45 to 50%.
Right. Gotcha.
So people couldn't, on paper, afford the loans they had.
Yes.
Which meant they couldn't refinance.
Yeah.
So I had friends and family come to me, $500,000 home loan, circumstances pretty much unchanged in the last 2 years, other than the cash rate. Their income was relatively the same. They hadn't had children or anything. Exactly the same situation. Income might have gone up a little bit. Came to me and said, Joe, what can we borrow we want to refinance, pull some cash out and do some renos.
They had equity.
Tons of equity.
Right.
Tons of equity. The particular example I'm thinking of, and that's a good point. A lot of people were asset rich, but cash poor.
Yeah.
His property he bought for $700 in Maruka in the probably 10, 15 Ks from the Brisbane CBD, and was worth easily over $1 million in 2 years. So he had equity, but his borrowing capacity was around $300,000 and he had a $500,000 home loan.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
So that's mortgage prison.
Right.
It's really,
I went and did my groceries, and again, I used to always get really upset at my mum for complaining about the cost of grapes, or oh God, mum, just get over it. But I went and did them on Monday just for school lunches, a couple of dinners this week, and it was over $500. And I think I can't walk out of the supermarket for under $500. Family of 4, mind you. And, but it's, so sorry, I diverse and I sound like my mum.
No,
so.
I totally get it back. I mean, look, I'm on my own, and I struggle to spend less than $150 for myself in a week, which is crazy.
Well, I mean, we both have to buy a bag of flour, so you just last you a bit longer.
Exactly.
Same price.
Exactly.
I look at our portfolio of investors, there's 3,500 of them, and I don't know every single one of them and their age. I wish when we got our management authorities and ID, I just plotted the age of the investor because I am noticing a trend of younger investors. Obviously, when I say younger, it means I'm getting older. So, people in their 20s now are starting to look at wealth creation, and they're the people who grew up with iPhones, grew up with apps, grew up with bots chatting to them. So they are expecting response quicker than humanly possible. But, and I say this to my team too, and I think it was brought up the other day when we were at the conference together, that speed, for me, I think Jordan Slinger might have said speed is currency, but I say speed of response is currency in our business.
Can I add something to this?
Yeah.
I once heard a great analogy, and it's not even an analogy, it's an anecdote. The average response time, I agree, speed is really important, but there's something we're not talking about, and that's transparency.
Right.
So the average response time for ordering a taxi in Australia is substantially quicker than an Uber.
Yeah, right.
But Uber is way more popular because consumers like to know where it's at. Yeah, I think not being greedy is super important. I think recognizing that 1 + 1 = 11 is the key to a successful business. I mentioned that I'm here for the long run. So I obviously share a lot of stories with other brokers in the industry. And when I tell them some of the things that we're doing in the business, they scoff a little bit, especially when they talk about property management, actually, believe it or not. Yeah. Not many brokers touch property management because they don't feel like there's instant transactions to be made. They align themselves as sales agents because there's a quick win. And when I
I would look at it like, we look after $3.5 billion worth of property that 80% of it's got mortgages on it.
I know.
I would see that as a very good opportunity.
I know. And yeah, it's again, going back to that relationship versus transactional approach.
Yeah. Like my husband says to me, why do you say yes to everything? Because I'm an extrovert, he's an introvert. And I said to him, because the opportunities that come from saying yes to things have got me where I am today. And I'll never forget that. So saying yes to help JB and the team do that walk to ARIC was, again, social. It was an incredible event, but what we'll be able to provide to those children was next level. But when we got up to the Philippines, and we actually all just got, I think, it wasn't, I think a lot of people think it was all Boracay Island and very 5-star. Well, we know definitely wasn't. We were in the trenches in some pretty dingy places in the Philippines, but we were with 350 amazing offshore people, which just lifted the whole experience. Yeah. But you and I had some really good chats around the pool and the downtime that we had around your core values. And that is what probably made me go, yeah, we're going to align with you guys. So you're an incredible person. Your family, I love your dad. Like, I just love him. I only got to spend a little bit of time with him. But also, seeing Jack come into the business and the way the Housemark team, who's a property management business in Brisbane, who are very similar to us, and we've aligned with that company as well. They speak so highly of the service you give their clients. So it was a no-brainer for us, and we've loved having you over in the West.
Yes, I've loved being here.
And so for our clients who listen to this podcast, we are going to introduce Joe officially to you guys, but also to any other businesses out there. If you want to speak to Joe, I'm sure you're open to follow you on your socials.
Not in WA. No, there's an embargo.
No. I would never stop you growing your business, but definitely would reach out to Joe and his team. Thanks for coming on. We've got a really big day today, so we are going to wrap it up, but I'm sure people are going to hear a lot more about Delta Wealth in the future. So we're excited for the growth.
Appreciate it.